Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and we're here with the fifth and final video about how to mod Jar Binks. So, a few weeks away here from the next opportunity for folks to pick them up, but hopefully we'll have you well prepared. As always, I do want to start with, about the leadership and the team comps here. So leadership is only Boss Nass. We'll cover his leadership ability in a second. 5 versus 5, there's only 5 Gungans, so just take the full team. In 3 versus 3, I covered about more details about why these few different compositions could be considered. But certainly you're going to be featuring Jar Binks where you can, and then maybe something like this one in the middle if you don't have Jar Binks. This could be Tarples or Boombadir. But for more detail, check out the NAS video. Link to that video will be in the description here. Without further ado, let's jump in on that Boss Nass kit. Well, just the leadership, really. Alright, so Boss of Otogunga. Gungan allies have plus 30% max protection and offense and plus 30 speed. Whenever a Gungan ally attacks out of turn, they inflict speed down for 1 turn. This alone's really crazy. This gets underestimated because you're attacking out of turn all the time. The first time each Gungan ally drops below 50% health, they gain 50% bonus protection for 2 turns. If there is an ally shield generator, whenever it loses a stack of recharge, Gungan allies gain 1% max protection up to a max of 50% until the end of the encounter. If the shield generator is defeated, Gungan allies gain 50% turn meter. And at the end of each Gungan ally's turn, they remove 1 stack of recharge from that shield generator. Of course, if all allies are Gungans at the start of battle, then he does summon the shield generator and not otherwise. I won't cover about his TW, Omicron. You'll get it if you're doing this in TW. It doesn't really change how you'll mod him. Alright, enough on the boss man. Let's get into Jar Binks. Alright, first, I know you guys are going to ask about Omicrons. Which way to go, which ones are essential, what order to get them. So I think all 3 are essential, and hopefully you'll see why by the time we're done going through them. But as far as the order goes, definitely Misa Okide, followed by Moi Moi I Love You, both uniques, and then get Big Boomas. All 3 onlys are just amazing though. Let's dig into it. Let's start with Misa Okide. It's the most familiar unique, like the ones you've seen on others, in that all Gungans have this first part. At the start of battle, JarJar loses 75% max health and gains that much as max protection. Now, here's where it starts to get interesting, and strap in, because this is a long kit, guys. So in addition, he also is inflicted with Death Mark until he receives damage or evades an attack. Alright, now you think that's terrible, but hold on, there's a lot of kit yet to come. If the enemy leader is Separatist, at the start of the encounter, JarJar gains 50 speed for the rest of the encounter. JarJar's debuffs can't be evaded. They can be resisted. And he can't be called to assist. So that's interesting because there's a lot of assist call on this team, but he himself cannot be called that way. And that's kind of important because when we take a look at how his basic works, it'd be a little overpowered if it was able to assist for free all the time. Alright, whenever another character gains Foresight, JarJar gains Foresight for 1 turn. Whenever JarJar gains Foresight, he dispels it and blinds himself instead for 1 turn. What is this? It's insane. You'll see soon. Whenever JarJar evades a basic ability, the enemy that missed is inflicted with a stack of Frustration, a new unique debuff from this character, for 1 turn at the start of the next turn, which can't be copied or resisted. So that's interesting, right? Whenever JarJar evades a basic ability, so that can be him straight up dodging or a Foresight getting triggered, something like that, but only when a basic is being attempted against him, that enemy will get a stack of Frustration, can't be resisted, so that's going to be happening. Alright? Whenever an enemy dazes, staggers, or stuns a Gungan ally, Deathmark JarJar until he receives damage or evades an attack. So now we have 2 reasons why he might become Deathmarked. Okay? So you got him Deathmarking himself and blinding himself, dispelling Foresight. You know, that's off of himself. Why is this good? All right. If there is an active allied shield generator, Jar Jar has plus 1000% evasion. We've just entered the comedy tier with this kit. So he's going to have this death mark. Folks are going to be forced to hit him. But then they're not going to be able to hit because, as it turns out, 1000% evasion is enough to counter the effects of death marks. So they have to hit him, but they can't actually hit him. All right, whenever a character gains bonus turn meter, Jar Jar has 1% chance of gaining a bonus turn, increased to 10% chance if that's an enemy. So again, you know, whenever a character gains bonus turn meter, that's ally or enemy. So then he has a 1% chance of gaining a bonus turn if it's an ally, 10% if it's an enemy. Whenever this bonus turn occurs, Jar Jar can't gain another bonus turn this way for 2 turns. So they do kind of, you know, limit it so it doesn't go just completely apeshit on the whole match. All right, the GAC Omicron. While in Grand Arenas and all allies are Gungans, whenever the Plasma Shield generator uses Plasma Pulse, reset all of Jar Jar's cooldowns. Whenever a Gungan ally is dazed, staggered, or stunned, they dispel it and gain Shield Up 25% for 2 turns. And Shield Up is a unique buff that we see given out by Phalanx for the first time. Check out the Phalanx video for detail on it. But basically, it's like another type of protection up. But instead of protection up, which is based on your max health, shield up is based on your max protection. So it's just leaning further into that. It's great. All right, his next unique. Moi Moi, I love you. Gungan allies have plus 75% accuracy. If the enemy leader is Separatist, at the start of the encounter, all Gungan allies gain 50% max protection until the end of the encounter, or Jar Jar is defeated for the first time. So this gives you such an enormous advantage. If you've seen the other videos on the Gungans, just there's stacking protection all over the place. So for you to take this team on offense and choose to fight a Separatist team on defense, you're just going to go haywire on them. There's a whole bunch of disadvantage built into these kits if you're fighting Separatists. So just want to point this out because, wow, what a ton of protection that you only get if the enemy leader is Separatist. At the start of battle, if there are no Galactic Legends, and that is period, if there are no Galactic Legends present on the board at all enemies are inflicted with a stack of Frustration for 1 turn. Increased to 3 stacks if they are a stealth character, and this cannot be resisted. If different enemies take consecutive turns, a random Gungan ally gains a bonus turn. So you will intercede. You know, if you have one character on the enemy team who's fast, and then the next character after it would be ahead of your next guy. Too bad, you intercede. If you have an enemy Darth Vader on the enemy team and he pops his Merciless Massacre and starts taking bonus turns, man, after that second turn, somebody's interceding. Okay? And there's no cap on that. You notice this? It doesn't say that this is limited by the number of times it can happen with any kind of interval. So you're going to just break up bonus turns on the enemy team. Whenever Jar Jar misses an attack on his turn, all other Gungan allies assist once per turn, dealing 50% less damage. Which means they're going to be inflicting, speed down from that boss NAS lead in addition to whatever other stuff they've got cooked into their own basics. It's nasty. All right. Whenever the ally shield generator uses Plasma Pulse, Gungan allies ignore protection for 1 attack. Depending on when this happens, that could be a death knell. You could wipe out a whole team that way. If there is an active allied shield generator, Gungan allies can't drop below 100% health while they have protection and can't be instantly defeated. So this basically gives one of the better parts of General Skywalker's kit to the entire Gungan team. While they have protection, they cannot drop below 100% health. And furthermore, they also are immune to Cat Delete, Nihilus, all of your instant defeat effects while that shield generator is active. And now that we've covered the normal parts of this unique, now we can talk about the Omicron effect. While in Grand Arenas and all allies are Gungans, at the start of battle, the allied shield generator gains 2 stacks of plasma shielding for every 3 relic amplifier levels Jar Jar has. This is why you'll see the whales, the krakens who went for Jar Jar the first time, virtually all of them save the resources to have him at Relic 9 so he can take that full, divisible by 3 advantage. Ooh, that's a phone alarm that doesn't need to go off. But, yeah, so the plasma shielding, you're getting these bonus stacks of plasma shielding, and that helps your shield stick around longer, prolonging all these crazy passive benefits that are coming from the shield itself and all the other Gungan kits when the shield generator is present. It's a big deal. Alright, whenever a non-Gungan enemy gains damage immunity, all Gungan allies gain damage immunity for 1 turn. Why not? Whenever a Gungan ally gains a bonus turn from this ability, so anywhere, we talked about how after a couple of bonus turns on the enemy team, a random Gungan ally gets a bonus turn. So whenever this happens, they gain 5% mastery until the end of the encounter, without limit. So if they keep getting those random turns, they're just going to keep accelerating into the future. Alright, so that's almost a video in itself you could do, just on the effects baked into these 2 uniques. Let's get into his actual active skills. His basic, how wooed! Deal special damage to all enemies! That's his basic. On his turn, so this effect so it's just deal special damage to all enemies if he's called to assist, right? The rest of this occurs only when it's on his turn. One of the following 3 effects will happen. Inflict Death Mark for 1 turn to the healthiest enemy, which can't be resisted if they have at least 3 debuffs. There's good odds on that being the case. The weakest Gungan ally, the second possible of 3 effects is the weakest Gungan ally gains damage immunity for 1 turn. Or Gungan allies gain tenacity up for 1 turn. So one of those 3 is guaranteed to happen if he does this on his turn. Additionally, this attack has a 0.01% chance to instantly defeat a random enemy, which can't be evaded, and that increases to 1% chance if there are any Separatist enemies. Doesn't require a Separatist lead, doesn't require a full Separatist team. It requires any Separatist to be present on the enemy team at all. And this attack can't be countered. So all this good stuff, everything that is not, what's a better way to put this? Every time he's assisting, he's doing AoE special damage, but only on his own turn does all the rest of this goodness happen. Alright, his first special. Big Boomas! Deal special damage to all enemies. Again, another AoE, Nice. If target enemy had protection, stun them for 1 turn. Otherwise, inflict them with 3 stacks of expose for 1 turn. There's a 0.01% chance all enemies lose all turn meter and are inflicted with fear for 1 turn, which can't be copied, dispelled, prevented, or resisted. And that is increased to 1% chance if there are any Separatist enemies. If all allies are Gungans, all enemies are inflicted with plasma residue by this ability, which is a unique debuff, for 1 turn, which cannot be copied. Plasma residue is defined as, this character loses 100% evasion. If this character becomes inflicted with shock, like from Tarpal's basic, for example, deal reduced massive damage to all enemies with plasma residue, then remove all instances of plasma residue. So you just get this on any character, as many characters as you can, then you trigger it once and it dispels off everybody and hurts everybody on the enemy team. Now, let's talk about the Omicron. While in Grand Arenas and all allies are Gungans, dispel bonus protection and protection up on all enemies, and they lose 5% max health and max protection stacking, which can't be evaded for the rest of the encounter, then inflict the target enemy with protection disruption for 1 turn. Plasma residue can't be resisted. Whenever this ability is used, reduce the cooldown of all other Gungan abilities by 1. That's fantastic. Alright, Wisa Warriors. His second special. This is where we finally get the definition for frustration. So, Deal special damage to target enemy and a random enemy. Gungan allies recover 10% protection. That's great. We're stacking protection a million different ways on this team, so that's a lot. There's a 0.01% chance all Gungan allies recover 100% health and protection and gain 100% turn meter and foresight for 2 turns. Increased to 1% chance if there are any separatist enemies. So again, just the theme continues. Woe unto they who put a separatist on defense in any quantity against this team. All enemies are inflicted with 2 stacks of frustration for 1 turn, which can't be copied. If all allies are Gungans, excluding summoned allies like the shield generator, for each different debuff on target enemy or random enemy that could be copied and dispelled, excluding stacking debuffs like damage over time, that debuff is dispelled and inflicted on that enemy for 1 turn. These debuffs can't be dispelled or resisted. So he's just compounding whatever debuffs were already on that target. Alright, so here we go. Frustration, in short, is basically kind of like a second alternative version of Confusion, like from C-3PO. Let's get into it. Frustration says it applies detrimental effects, and they build based on the cumulative number of stacks. At 1 or more stacks, the target cannot assist or counterattack. At 2 or more stacks, whenever this character gains bonus turn meter, remove 2 stacks of recharge from enemy shield generator, so our shield generator, and expose this character for 2 turns. At 3 stacks, special abilities are unusable for 1 attack, and then remove all stacks of frustration after this attack. So that's the difference between this and Confusion, is Confusion can just be perpetuated. Once you get them to 3 stacks, you get the goodness of it, and then they drop it, and then you can start reapplying. But remember, Frustration, at the start of battle from that unique, all enemies are getting inflicted with that first stack off rip. So you're going up from there. Pretty nasty. Okay, so what does all this mean? He's got all this chaos built into his kit, right? How do we maximize the advantage of his mods? So I took a look at a few different top players modding, and basically we're all the same. So I'm just going to highlight mine and explain it in detail. You want speed. I think we can see that there's so much chaos built into this team, and so much, just offensively and defensively, all kinds of crazy good things can happen when Jar Jar takes turns. It doesn't matter if it's him slinging that basic and possibly annihilating people in addition to whatever other good effect, but his specials are awesome. It's all good when he takes turns. So you do want him really fast. I have him clocked right behind Boss Nass. I want Boss Nass to be taking the craziest, highest number of turns. You might be thinking, because of his first special that decreases the cooldown, brings the cooldowns around sooner for his allies, you might want him clocked after the rest of the team so they can seize the advantage off that. It's not worth it. I mean, hopefully you understand from just going through the kit how we did. This guy just needs to go. Go, 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 go. So yeah, just as fast as you can make him behind Boss Nass would be the rule for the main set. As far as your 2-piece goes, just about all of us are rocking potency. Now you could make a case for a 2-piece of health, since it does have that conversion from health to max protection, helps his survivability. But this guy doesn't really need to be so much of a tank, right? He's dodging all the time. Basically, you really can't hurt him in a way that matters until the shield generator is down. All right? So while it's up, let's plan for it to be up and behave like it's up. That's why myself, and I think just about everybody's going with a 2-piece of potency. We do have a lot of debuffs baked into his kit, many of which can be resisted. So I just went as hard in that direction as I could, picked up as much as I could. You can see I'm just shy of 160, 158% potency. And so that's the other big deal. And then, of course, a crit damage triangle. He is attacking a lot. He has a decent crit chance. This team has a lot of offense just handed out for free to it by Boss Nass lead. Don't worry so much about how I only have, plus 500 physical, plus 600% special, not 600%, plus 688 special damage added into him, right? Very little offense added. Don't worry about it. The stat budget you need to worry about for him, I would say, is going to be speed over potency over protection, and then offense after that. But this kit is insane. It's chaos incarnate. It is exactly the captured essence of Jar Binks. So as annoying as the character was in the movie, he's incredible in the game. He's incredibly inspired, like very well designed, both thematically and mechanically. Just love this guy. All right, as far as applications go, I did cover this in the Boston Ass video at the start of this set on the faction, so go back to that to see in greater detail. But yeah, Separatists were getting crushed at the end of the last season. This is based on the end of the last 5 versus 5. So, you know, there's very limited data here, but we can see that Separatists were getting crushed. DTMG was losing, and that's assuming, you know, they probably had that Empire Cron, that DTMG Empire Cron. So very interesting that you're running Roughshod over this. And it makes sense. This team is taking advantage of turn meter to get turns. Maybe they could get a few turns strung in a row, but thanks to that JarJar unique, no more than 2 before some other random, you know, Gungan gets a bonus turn. It's crazy. You could see that with against Inquisitors here. This is interesting because there will be an Inquisitor's Cron coming up that wasn't, you know, present for when people were trying this. But there was an Empire Cron giving this team a lot of damage, and you can see that folks were 4-manning it just for that extra banner. So, you know, you figure that if you're fighting this in GAC and you've got him getting a bonus turn off rip and somebody else is super fast, that's 2 turns right there, and now some other random Gungan gets a bonus turn and you start to fly from there, right? It makes sense. Nasty bit of business. All right, this wraps up the Gungan faction with JarJar. This was a real pleasure, guys. Loving the feedback, loving the support that I'm getting. I will be moving on to some other character or faction. Leave a comment if you want me to highlight some other recent character release. I kind of picked up right where a patron asked me to start with, like Caloran Beck, and I went forward. So if there's other characters or factions that you want me to take a look at, I'll probably do them one faction at a time in absence of some, you know, upcoming free-to-play release that's, you know, that's more interesting to be covered for you guys. So, again, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, it's been real, it's been awesome, it's been real awesome. Take care.